Hello, hello. I'm here with another Q and A. I'm here with the artist Morgan Ogilvie.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yes,
Good job.
thank you. I'm here at her studio today. Contrary to a lot of like Q and A's, besides exhibits, I also like to visit artist studios. So let's get into our first question today. So, Morgan, I met you at Cine Contemporary Suspect Terrain. So, I will speak like one or two questions talking about the show back then and then tie it into present and future. So, in regards to Suspect Terrain with your collaborators, Ripley Whiteside and Caitlin Blomstrom, how was it all working together, collaborating on this show? Is there any like experiences, any noteworthy aspects of like about your other artists or about the show in general that you want to talk about?
Um, it was a really wonderful experience, working with them. It was the first time I had really met Caitlin, so that was really I'm glad to know her and more about her work, so that was really exciting. So, this show, the Tinny Show, was a wonderful opportunity for me to meet Caitlin. I knew a little bit about her work, but I got to actually meet her and then learn more about her work. And then Ripley, I know, but it was really fun to be in that show with him, and it was really interesting. It's interesting having other people create your work because I would not necessarily have thought of putting the three of us together for a show on landscape, and I thought that was just a really creative idea and a really good idea. I don't know if it was Joshua's idea. Because all of our work is kind of a word that came up when we worked with each other, like texting to each other, is all of our work is kind of cheeky. I think actually Caitlin's maybe the cheekiest, but anyway, um, and like all of it maybe at first glance looks normal. I don't want to say this about their work, but my work sometimes can look kind of normal, but then it's slowly creepy. And I think anyway, I just think that the our work reverberates off of each other really well.
Mhm. I definitely saw that like back in the show. There was um I definitely saw that back at the show. There was when we first talked that like based on their presentation, them being next to each other, it was a one of your artworks. The what was
I think that was Caitlin's. The skeleton.
the
It was
skeleton, the graveyard.
yeah, the graveyard. I love those pieces so much. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and like and also there was also a landscape right next to it. So like all in all, like all three of those works presented, and most of the gallery itself, there was sort of a narrative being built around it. This eerie sort of like story that was being told. It wasn't like the theme was terrain and what a suspect terrain, but how you all tackled it and how it was all presented. There was a line of unspoken dialogue kind of being spoken, being followed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So moving on to my next question. This will also regard your earlier show. Um, I would like to know just a brief sort of the opening compared to the closing reception. What was your thoughts, expectations, and experiences there?
Um. Well, I was out of town for the closing reception, so I only attended the opening. And it was I mean, I was thrilled with it. It was really fun. I actually didn't get to talk that much to there were so many people there were people I still wanted to talk to, and I didn't get to talk to Caitlin hardly at all. And I saw Ripley a little bit. I thought it was really fun to see everyone out and uh, for the art crawling out to see Tinny and hopefully find something interesting about this work that they could take away from it. Um,
Okay. Well, thank you for your response. Okay. All right. Let's move on to more present works. I'm currently in your studio. There's a lot of artwork around me, a lot of things I got to inspect, and kind of retouching on a brief conversation we had, or retreading old grounds. We've had this conversation like twice, so I want to talk about this concept that you're playing with, making the audience. You tackle that within Tender Contemporary with your larger Paramount work, and I that sort of that same language being transferred into upcoming works and current works, where like how is mostly how, in the space, the sort of mock diagram that you showed me, that you're putting the audience into basically showing them a mirror. There was a older other concept you played with, like on state theater example that you gave me. So I just want to you to extrapolate or expand more on that.
Absolutely. I was thinking of, and I'll repeat this. You've heard this, but just um, of the idea of you are going to the theater to watch a play and you sit down and the curtains open and you don't realize that you actually are the performance. So there's actually a group of people there staring at you. I wanted that reversal. So I wanted to create that feeling in paint. Um, and so the idea is that you go to the gallery expecting to look at artwork, but you don't realize that the artwork was already looking at you. So I'm painting people, audiences staring at you, basically. And there, it's lots of kind of faces, larger than life faces. Here are two of them. And I call the smaller ones that are 22 by 28 inches. I have a whole series that are all the exact same size, the Tribunal. And they're sort of you kind of go there and you're being judged by paintings. I thought that would be, to me, I wanted to create viscerally the feeling of what it is like to be alive with social media and with the fact that everyone has a camera on them at all times. So at any moment, we can be filmed or photographed. For you, that's, you've grown up and that's normal. And I grew up before that was normal. And so and actually, luckily, I don't actually think about it. I kind of blissfully pretend like it doesn't exist. But my husband is much more cognizant of that. And, at all moments, he's aware, like you could be just not that like we're even saying we have like, we're saying we're weird, but we're not saying anything bad. Um, but it's just he's more cognizant of that. And so I wanted to try to create that feeling in a more visceral way. How he kind of feels, all, I mean, not literally how he feels, but like, what if you had this tribunal of people dressed up from the Versailles court, watching you and judging you and extracting from you, basically. And it's not actually necessarily bad. It's not good either. You don't know what it is. And that's what I think is eerie about it, is you don't know what they're going to use it for, which, we don't know how data collection is going to affect. I mean, we don't know all the ways it's going to be used. So I just wanted to be, it's like this weird feeling in the air all the time, or it's like this, it's almost like the air has slightly changed in the past 20 years, but it's around everyone. So we don't notice it. So I wanted to bring it to a primal, like human faces kind of feeling without portraying technology, without using modern technology, and try to um, tap into that primal fear. And one more thing on that, and then I'll let you ask the next question,
Mhm.
is I think also it taps into a primal fear of expulsion. Social media does, in terms of like cancel culture. The
Mhm.
idea of being canceled and trying not to behave in such a way that you accidentally get canceled, even if you didn't mean to do something wrong. Uh, it just makes me think of historically humans. If you, when we all lived in small sort of family groups or family and extended family groups, if you were expelled from that group, you died. So that fear of social expulsion is primal, and I think it plays on that. But then it feels distant, and so I wanted to make it not feel distant.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that.
No, no, no. I understand what you're
Okay.
saying. I understand what you're trying to like capture and exhibit, and like with that new insight, there's less of a. It it's the expressions that they wear are very they're less, they portray like emotion of like joy or sad. It kind of judgmental in a way, they're looking directly at us, and like to that effect, it's when put into a room or put into a upcoming show, like imagining all of them like looking at like multiple angles, multiple sides. It'll definitely starts to develop that feeling, that prime of like not just being watched, but the effect of being watched and being excluded.
Excluded, absolutely, and judged.
Hmm.
Excluded and judged.
Okay. Then thank you for that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess you can call this a part two to the question or following along those lines. So when it comes to not just like creating these works, but like in what part does their presentation come into play? It's not just like they definitely come with their own effect by themselves, but like how is their arrangement and like presentation like uh as pivotal as a role here?
Absolutely. That's a really good question. So I made a small model of the space and designed the whole show with that in mind. I mean, I had the idea for wanting it to be about watching. And so it kind of was like the each painting has like a specific place in the gallery, and obviously the gallery, if they can change whatever they want to, but this is just how I'm envisioning it. And so how the arrangement is somewhat integral to the show. Um and also how the paintings work in concert with one another is somewhat integral. Like an individual painting, I mean, I think you get some of what I'm talking about maybe from this one. This is the largest painting that'll be there. I mean, they look snooty and they look judgmental. And this is actually the actress Molly Shannon. These are all inspired by Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette from 2007 or something. It's gotten it's worth watching. It's a film worth watching. And so the reason that I chose, but anyway, and Molly Shannon was an actress. She's a comedic actress. You might have seen her in Only Murders in the Building. She was on SNL a long time ago, and she's wonderful. And so it's also funny to have this funny. She's just a funny person in this like serious artwork, and she was a wonderful person to cast in the film. She played one of the snooty aunts, kind of insufferable aunts of the king, and but I wanted specifically. I don't know if I told you why I chose Versailles, and so this ties into what we're talking about. I chose Versailles because I was interested in from Louis XIV sort of through when Marie Antoinette married into the Versailles family. Um, I was interested. Louis XIV built Versailles with the intention of making it so spectacular to sort of show power by how its extravagance and beauty. Um, but also he insisted on the nobility all living at Versailles, not in Paris, so away from where the people that they're ruling, or the city center. And he wanted them there so he could keep an eye on them so they would not perform a coup against him. And he also wanted them to compete for in their garb. They would compete for who wore the most extravagant outfit, all these sort of things that are these sort of petty concerns in order to distract them from statecraft. And that idea of engineered attention, I actually learned this in European history in high school, Dr. Eckerd, and it was kind of a side note. I don't think it was anything that we were tested on, but I just thought that was so um, fascinating that you would engineer the attention of people, and that just feels like what's happening today with social medias. Our attention is being distracted. We are intentionally being distracted, and our attention is being engineered. um so um and that actually ties back to sort of how all of the paintings are displayed. The display is very engineered so that um when you go in, you sort of will come into this larger area, and on all sides you'll have the faces all the exact same size staring at you. So I'm looking at the small model, and then from the front you have curtains that are painted, and so they're painted. They're on canvas, but they're not stretched. And so they're painted and they're open and they can never close. And the idea is sort of we're always right now sort of performing because at any moment we could be filmed and that could be disseminated. And so it makes, yeah, so
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a thank you for your insight. Hmm. Okay, then moving on to my next question. This will be more, I guess, studio oriented. So just walking around, engaging with your space. I just kind of want to know like the ins and outs, the day to day. Like for each artist, like sometimes it's a more spiritual practice, like engaging with their studio. Sometimes it's mechanical, monotonous. How do you wake up and like just start doing art within this space?
Yes. So I love being in here. This is my favorite place in the house, or one of my favorite places to be of anywhere. I'll wake up, and after I, um, get ready and have breakfast, I'll usually do work on my computer, like work for, art stuff on the computer. And then I'll get into painting later on in the day. I guess that's not the most exciting answer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of anything more. And I do actually like working kind of late, at night. So I also will do that. And
It,
it's just my favorite place to be. Yeah.
no, I get it. It doesn't
Yeah.
for every artist it's like sometimes it's not like this glamorous thing compared to like the end product, but it's like it's work,
Yeah.
honestly. It's almost the same as sort of like a 9 to 5. It's just like you have to just get in and you have to do it. And
Yeah.
it's at least good enough to hear that like it shows consistency. It shows like
Yeah.
it shows like a sort of diligence, a discipline. At least like you like coming in here.
Yeah, and I'm very diligent. I mean, I'm always working in here, and that's easy. That's the easy part for me. It's harder for me sometimes. I love going to see my friends' shows and going to shows, but I want to sometimes be in my studio. Like I have a tendency of too much of that. So, but but yeah, the diligence is that's easier for me. Yeah.
I get that. Okay. Thank you. So I think I'll be moving on to my last question to conclude off here. I want to sort of similar to what I asked other artists, but I guess this will be a more general sense. What should we be looking forward to?
Okay. I have a few things coming up. I have a few pieces that are going to Basel for the Art Fair Kunstage, which will be in August. Be mailing those off soon, and then all of this work is in will be in Basel in the opening. It's called The Watchers, and if I mean right now that's the title, and I like it. But if I come up with something better, that will be the title. The Watchers, and that'll be January 14th in Basel, Switzerland. And so that is where my energy, although I actually will be finishing this work up pretty soon. But that is where all my energy is focused right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well. Um. Okay, then I would like to thank you for letting me come out here today, visiting your studio, getting to talk to you. I know there's been some delays and whatnot, things have come in and out of our lives, but I'm glad we finally got to sit down and have this discussion, have this Q&A.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, all right, thank you. That is today's Q&A.